Hello and welcome to AIS and Anthropology um, 415, um, American Indians in the Urban Experience, to make sure I was saying that right. I'll be your instructor this very short summer semester. My name's Raven Moffett. I'm a PhD student here in AIS, and so I'm writing my dissertation. So I guess I'm going into my fifth year, maybe my fourth year. Once you kind of pass comps and get to the writing, it's all a blur. Um, but I'm not new to the teaching game. I got my MFA at U of A, and I've been teaching there and also adjuncting for Pima and adjuncting for Appalachian State University, which is where I got my bachelor's for about 5 years. And I have taught all different modalities, all different timelines. So I'm not new to summer teaching. I'm not new to compressed semesters, and I'm not new to fully online. So I have a system and I hope that it works for you all. It's what I've found works for other students in the past, but everyone's individual. So basically, our whole class is set up through D2L. And I'm gonna do these little recorded lectures, so you get a little bit of content from me. But the course is very heavy on you all reading and watching and listening to content yourself on your own time. But it is not entirely self-paced in that I do have firm due dates. So even though it's online asynchronous, we don't have set meeting times. We do have firm dates for you to turn in your work. Oh, good. You can see my mice in the corner. You'll probably see my dogs walking around too. I guess a little bit more about me. I am not based in Tucson right now. I am living in Scappoose, Oregon, with all my critters. I have two mice, um, five chickens. I had to think about that for a moment. Some quail, three dogs, lots of plants. I garden, I pot, and I love to think about non-human agency. So my PhD dissertation looks at dog representation in contemporary Indigenous film, um, which is TV and movies mostly, and literature. So some novels, some short stories, and some poetry. So all contemporary makers, all contemporary works, and I'm analyzing them for how well they depict canines, which I think is very well. I think it's very authentic to my canine relations, and I think they do a great job. The source texts that I'm looking at, and honestly, contemporary Indigenous makers on a global scale are doing a great job of representing more than human kin with agency and with choice. And that's not always been the pattern of representation for our more than human relatives. So that's what I'm thinking about most of the time. This course is not a course that I've taken, and it's not a course that I've taught before, so the content is new. I did have some really great meetings with Dr. Susan Lobo, who has literally written the book on this topic. Um, and she gave me some great advice. So I'm doing my best here. I love feedback, love to answer emails, and love for people to communicate up front. So if you're got any questions, any concerns, or experiencing any difficulty, please email me right away at my U of A email. And let me screen share here so we can be looking at that together. Here's the syllabus for the class. It's very quick. It's 5 week. Unfortunately, it's still, I'm required and you all are required to meet a certain level of hours of content. And that doesn't change whether it's a 16-week regular semester or a 5 week compressed. So it's going to go by fast and it's going to feel really intense. And so as you look over the syllabus and as you watch this video, if you're feeling like overwhelmed, first of all, feel free to reach out to me via email. So it's my last name, Moffett, and then ir@arizona.edu. Um, Happy to just communicate through email. If there's some confusion, or especially if you're like, let's look at a project together, I'm gonna probably encourage us to set up a Zoom meeting. So I'll send you a link. It will probably be this link. And we'll work out a time that we can both meet, and we can talk through things. And then Zoom allows us to share screen, and that can be really helpful. Um, I do technically have office hours that I hold on Fridays and Mondays, but that doesn't mean I'm hanging out in the Zoom room. That means I'm like writing my dissertation, and having a Zoom room open is like having a writing my dissertation in an open audience hall, and that does not feel great. So I should be very responsive to email during those times, but it doesn't necessarily mean that if you just hopped on that Zoom, I would be right there. So anytime you want to meet with me, email me in advance, and we'll figure out a time. Uh, we've got some learning outcomes. This is both an AIS and anthropology class. So excited to meet folks from many different disciplines. My work is transdisciplinary. And like I said, I have a really diverse background as a studio practitioner, as a museum worker, as a curator, also as someone who's done field work for anthropology and been in the field. That was my minor in my undergrad degree. So I pretty much touched on all the areas. Um, but this content is a bit new, so I'm excited to hear y'all's feedback, and we've got a couple assignments that I hope will give you space to share your experiences or ways that you can connect to the content. So the way that I'm doing assessments in this class is you're going to have some things that are due weekly, and then a couple of like bigger writing or presentation assignments that are due throughout. Your participation grade is going to be based on your engagement with weekly discussion posts. And I'll show you that space in D2L in a moment. Basically, it's an open space for you to synthesize, reflect on, connect with class content for that week. It's a sounding board for you to be able to, the reason it's in a discussion post format, excuse me, is so that it can be a conversational area. So your classmates will be able to see and respond to what you're thinking through. And I don't plan to be on there except for to, make sure people are being engaged. I won't be policing or haunting that space at all. That's kind of y'all's space to sound ideas. But if you are wanting to ask me a question, um, feel free to make that clear in your post because I will be reading it. I just won't be stepping in. I'll be letting the conversation flow. And so that kind of weekly engagement with the course content is not only me keeping tabs on people doing their reading and listening to the assignments that I have, but also uh, a way for me to keep track of participation. So it kind of does double duty, which means it's really important to be on top of that. And then I have an analytical essay, so a kind of more traditional uh, essay synthesizing what we've learned and applying it. And then I have a research essay or presentation possibility, which is our second kind of bigger assignment. And then our larger overall assignment is actually centered around a novel. And so, again, like I said, I'm familiar with the content of this course, but I've not taken it myself when Susan Lobo was teaching. She's since retired. And I've also not taught it. So what you're getting is a very personalized reflection on urban experience, which means it's playing to my strengths. That way I feel I can actually teach you all. So there's a lot of art and literature and film in this course. Um, and that's just what I know. So that's what I'm going to teach from. And hopefully, I'm thinking, this is a summer class. We don't all want to be just, buried deep in some academic literature. Yes, let's touch on it, but let's also have some fun. So I hope that feels exciting to you all. The overall semester assignment breaks down week by week. Sorry, my dog is just like falling asleep and sighing. And you pick a novel that you want to read, and I've read all the novels that I'm suggesting. They're all contemporary, they're all amazing, and they all hit on great aspects of Indigenous urban experience in the US, along with some other aspects. So this is how the assignments break down. The essays and presentations are 50 points each. The semester long work is 75, but that's kind of chunked up into weekly little mini assignments. And then the attendance and participation are those weekly discussion assignments for an overall 200. There is an extra credit opportunity. I'll show you in a moment on the D2L. That's going to be due a little bit in advance of our final deadline. And I do that intentionally because it gives me a chance to kind of see where it could be applied. Uh, let's see here. Because this is such a fast course, I'm really going to be very strict on late work. Um, of course, if you have a documented emergency or illness, some kind of extreme circumstance, I'm here happy to work with you. I work best if you communicate clearly and in advance, and with honesty. So if you are falling behind, email me right away. If you know, something comes up and you are able to access your email to let me know something's happening, just give me a shout. And if you're coming to me saying, I would like an extension, it is on you to have a plan for when you want to submit. And then I can reply and say, sounds great, or I think we're going to need to move that up a little bit, right? I already kind of spoke how attendance is evaluated in this class. It's very important to stay up to date because it's very easy to fall behind. I have some of UA's resources in terms of academic advising, and the Dean of Students office is always there to support you. Um, some university-wide policies. Please read through this fully, but I'm just kind of hitting on the key points here. Um, and then I do have little kind of breakdowns for our overall semester assignments all here on your syllabus. I'm going to go to them on D2L so you can see them shown there. And then following my little chunks of assignment prompts, I have our weekly schedule. So again, it's 5 weeks. I have listed on here what you're responsible for engaging. So it will be some readings from some books, some articles, and then I try to pepper in some other modalities. So it could be, watching a film, or listening to some podcasts. I have some great podcasts in here too. And then on top of your assigned reading, listening, watching per week, I'll be giving a little lecture as well. This looks hefty, right? So off the bat, you've got at least 6 things to engage here. I do want to say some of them are very short, like 6 pages or something. And there's a mix, right? So, there's some more academic book chapters, and then there's these podcasts. So I'm hoping, those can kind of balance your time. But I also want to say, I do expect that you're at least, looking and thinking about all the things here. When you get into these higher level courses, sometimes it's just not feasible. You have a week where, you just can't hit on all the things. So if that happens, I understand. If you're able to email me about it, that's great. If not, just, pick 1 or 2 of these things and really deeply engage with them, and then kind of survey the others. And that'll be enough, right? I'm not going to be really stringent about this. I also do have optional, so make sure you can distinguish between what you're required to look at is up front, and then sometimes there's this other second header that's optional. It's just other resources that I've found. They might jump out at you more, and that's great. So just wanted to give you as many resources as possible. I have due dates sprinkled throughout here too. But let's go over to our D2L page. Um, there will be announcements. I'm just building the course right now and recording as I do. So first you'll go to the content page, and that's kind of where most things will live. I have this kind of look here, first welcome module, where I have the syllabus uploaded, and then I have assignment outlines. Following that, I have our extra credit assignment, which will open the day that the course opens. And I'm hoping this is a really easy one and something you could knock out right away, because it's just a discussion to introduce yourself. So I will increase your overall grade for the whole course by 10 points. Remember, that's 10 out of 200. So it's only 5%, but that can, that can change you from a B to an A. So it can really have an impact if you just come on here and share whatever you feel like sharing about yourself. It'd be great to know a little bit more about where y'all are coming from in your disciplines and your area of study, where you're at, and any summer plans, whatever you like to share. Um, so after you kind of go through our syllabus, check out the assignment guidelines. The content comes in week by week. And so just like it is in the syllabus, I have the to read, listen, and watch. And then I have things uploaded. I do my best to just give you a PDF. Sometimes I run out of my ability to, or I don't have access to download PDF chapters. So some of these links will take you through the university library to that text. And then, so then you'd have to refer back to the syllabus and like, okay, so this is Indian Cities by Kent Blanchett. What chapter am I supposed to read? So let me know if ever those links aren't working. Same for like the podcasts and things. It should just link you out to that. Um, and then if you scroll down after all the content, then you'll have your assignments for that week. So the discussion post, it'll say week one discussion, week two discussion. That's just your space to write 300 to 500 words of your own reflection on class content, and then reply and interact with your classmates' posts. Um, yeah, it could be just a small part of the lecture that really stood out to you, or it could be the whole topic. I'm welcome to additional resources. I'm welcome to criticism on the topic, or what, however you want to engage. I'm going to be very flexible. I just want to make sure people are engaging and have a space to conversate. And then this might look odd, like then we have these other discussion posts areas, and they're week by week. The sentence, there, and Night Sky Morning Star are all the titles of books that you will choose one from that list, and that will be your semester long novel. And you should be able to get these at libraries, um, whether it be U of A's library or a different local public library. I know for a fact Pima Community County Library has them. They're accessible on e-readers, so should be able to get a hold of these. And then I have little prompts week by week, whereas your discussion post reflecting on course content is completely open to your choice. Your reflections on the novel that go by week, I do kind of give you some food for thought to kind of frame them. They should always be centering on the urban experience, because some novels will have other elements, but I do want you to stay on topic for the course. And so the first one is, are the characters and setting conceivable or relatable to you? I know that will be coming in fast. You might have only read the first chapter, or maybe you haven't gotten your book yet and you've only read the synopsis, and you can be very frank in that first week and say, yes, it's seeming like it might be relatable to me, or let's say you choose There by Tommy Orange and it's set in LA and you've never been to LA, and you can say, am not relating to this yet, but it will be nice to read a new experience. So there you go. And then it just kind of breaks down week by week. And then our bigger assignments are embedded weekly as well. So I'm going to take a minute and go over our overall semester assignment and our bigger ones, just so that you have all that information. And then I'm going to end this video. This is a housekeeping video. Okay, so the first assignment we got is this analytical essay one, and it's due So all my due dates are at 10 p.m. on the date, Mountain Standard Time. If you're getting them in later, I can still accept them potentially as long as the class isn't over, right? Once the class is over, the class is over. But you will be seeing some point reductions, and also the D2L submission will close. So you'll need to email those to me. If you ever just experience a hiccup with D2L, and you're not able to submit, even though you're submitting on time, again, just email me. So our first analytical essay is in week two, and week two focuses on humor as resistance, as community building in urban spaces. And so the prompt is that you watch or engage one of the following. I have a list provided: movies, TV series, or comic routines that are written and produced by Native creators. They focus on the urban indigenous experience in the US. Sometimes that might not be their number one topic, right? So that humor and the urban experience could be a kind of subplot in something that's much more a drama or kind of heavy. So I just want to give that warning, research whatever you're going to look up before you go into it so that you're in the right emotional space. If you're not ready for something that intense, then uh, back out, choose a different one. And then what I'll be expecting from you is a 800 to 1,000 words, so that's about 3 to 4 pages, double space essay, connecting class content to themes that you find in your choice of comic routine or movie or TV show. I don't want to read, I've engaged all of these things. I would not like your summary of the movie. I've watched it. Thanks. What I want you to do is pick apart concepts and themes and apply class content. Make connections, right? And that's the analytical component to this essay. I also need you to include at least 3 citations correctly cited in MLA or APA format. I am a stickler for that because we are in higher ed. And because I've been in higher ed for over a decade as a student and as a professor, it's just not something you're ever going to get around if you choose to go on in academia. And so it's just really helpful to get that down and have that as a skill that you can pull out. So I've got comic routines. You would pick an episode from this series of Native comics, and then also one of Jenna Schmelding's routines. Those are just on YouTube. They're not the highest quality, so you might be missing some things, but I just think she's really great. And unfortunately, the Native American Comedy Slam was sorely lacking on femme representation, so I had to bring somebody else in. You could choose to watch Four Sheets to the Wind by Sterling Harjo, a really amazing movie, one of his earlier works. I will say there are some tougher topics in that. So I also give you how to reach this, right? So some of these are just open access on YouTube. Tubi is this streaming service that you don't have to, to my knowledge, you don't even have to log in. You just go to the link and it's there. Um, The Body Remembers When the World Broke Open, a phenomenal work by Maya Tailfeathers, who's Sami and Blackfeet. I don't know Kathleen Hepburn as well, but I am a big fan of Maya. I watched this, I cried a lot, so that's a heavier one, but definitely focuses on the urban experience. And there's just small moments of humor that are like really cutting, and honestly, you're like so grateful for it because it's overall quite a heavy film. So heads up on that. That one's on Canopy. Or I've got some television shows. Unfortunately, none of these are open access. So it would be like maybe you already have this streaming service or you've been wanting to try it or you have a relative you could hit up. Rutherford Falls, which is on Peacock. I don't expect that you would watch the whole, I mean, do it if you want to, but you don't have to do it for this class. You don't have to watch the whole 2 seasons of it. But if I would recommend season 2 is more to the point about it. Or Res Dogs, and especially seasons 2 and 3. So I know that means if you're just jumping in, you'd be jumping in a little bit later. But there are some particular characters in each show that their experiences talk a lot about often navigating urban community versus reservation community, or kind of traversing that or melding that. If you need a little reminder about how to do good, strong academic citations, OWL Purdue is a great resource, or you could always go to our library. So that's the first essay. The second assignment is framed as an essay, but you can choose another mode because I don't want you to just be exhausted writing. So the prompt is for you to research a specific urban Native community organization, event, or cause. I'm looking for real world here. We were in creative media for the last one. Now we're like looking at applied lived experience. Um, some examples I thought of were the Tucson Indian Center or Tucson's International Indian Treaty Council as kind of like larger organizations. Events, I was thinking like the Santa Fe Indian Market happens every year, enormous, important event for Native arts. Or Dance for Mother Earth Powwow, which is held in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Just kind of community events people are going to, or a cause, like an urban land claim or dispute, or an extractive industry issue that intersects with urban experience. So I would say like no DAPL, huge, very well publicized recent extractive industry issue. But the Standing Rock Res is not necessarily urban. So if you were going to talk about that, you would talk about how that action played out in urban centers, right? And maybe the importance or the effect of having people involved in urban centers lobbying and protesting and having actions alongside the frontline people at Standing Rock, right? So make sure we're staying on point with our urban um, uh, topics here. And then, so you're going to research that. I want at least 5 academic citations for this one, be because it's a little bit more applied. And then you have options. You can either record a 5 to 7 minute presentation. So you would like open up your Zoom and record like this. You can have slides, visual aids, whatever you'd like, or you could just kind of give an oral presentation. Or you could write the same amount of writing as the last one, so an 800 to 1,000 word essay. So it's basically like whatever modality you'd like. I am opening this up to be a group work. If let's say you and your homie, you're both in this class and you guys are like roommates, or you're both still in Tucson, you guys are taking this class together, and you guys want to work together, that's great. So then you would get together, I'd say groups of two, two, four at the most. If you've got a really strong reason why you need to have more, email me. Um, and then y'all would need to put together a more robust presentation. It's more in depth, and then it needs to be more like 15 minutes. That way everybody can have their time. I don't want to just see one person presenting. I want to see everybody's voices present. And so as you watch this and as you read this, let me know what you think about if you're going to do your own essay, or if you're going to do your own presentation, or if you're going to work in a group. I'd love a heads up about that. And then also my thinking is, if you all want more interaction between classmates in this space, then I can upload those presentations so that everyone has access to it, if you'd like that. But I won't force anyone to share their work with the class if they don't feel up to it. Oh, and then my grading rubric is always attached at the bottom. Okay, last thing to go over here, the semester-long novel project. So, yeah, you've got assignments due weekly. So at the same time that you're submitting your overall discussion for the week, you're also going to be doing your novel reflection. That doesn't mean that I think you should wait until the day that things are due to get all your work done. I think you should be doing it throughout. Just make sure you're, submitting by that time. So you're going to pick one of the novels. Whoops, I only have 2 in front of me. Surely I have the sentence just like floating around here somewhere. I wish you all could see my desk. It's absolute chaos. Well, I don't know where the sentence is. I own it. Maybe I loaned it. Oh, here it is, right in front of me. Okay. Okay. So, um, Louise Erdrich, The Sentence, option number one. Tommy Orange, There. He actually just came out with this was kind of his breakout novel. His second novel just came out earlier this year. I haven't read it yet. I bet it's amazing. Or Night Sky Morning Star, less well known, freaking amazing, and out of UA Press. So pretty cool. If you want to know page lengths to think about what you can feasibly do, I would say the heftiest is going to be The Sentence. That one is just shy of 400 pages. Night Sky Morning Star is 228, and There is 280-ish, a little over 280. Um, and so you're going to read those throughout. And each week you're going to engage in a discussion post, 300 to 700 words. Um, there will be prompts. And then I do think that it would be helpful for some of your writing to be in response to your classmates. But the majority of it should be you putting your own thoughts and reflections from on the text and relating them to urban native content and urban native experience. Again, I don't want you to just summarize the books. I've read them, your classmates are reading them. We don't need that. It's connecting and reflecting and putting things in conversation. Each post needs to have a full citation, bibliographic reference, and appropriate in-text citations. That could just be that you're always citing your book, but it would be great if you were also using course materials and citing those as well. I do think that it would be very kind of you all if your post has spoilers, that you make that known in your post at the very start. So here's like an example. You would start off your discussion post reflection saying, this reflection includes some key plot spoilers up to page 100. Um, and as you saw, the weekly discussion posts are broken up based on text. So you always go, if you pick there, you always go to the there discussion post and you submit in that space. That doesn't mean that you don't, you aren't allowed to go read other classmates' reflections on The Sentence or Night Sky, Morning Star. Please do. Maybe you'll get excited about reading that book. But where I'll be looking for your submissions are wherever your chosen novel is. Okay. All right. I hope that makes sense. If it doesn't, please email me. And next time you'll be seeing me is recorded for our first week of content. All right. Thanks for your attention and bye.